So we're spending the weekend in this cabin in the mountains, and we thought what better opportunity to show you guys how we shoot room tours, this time with the brand new Zhiyun Weebill 3. Now, whether you're just showing off your home or your new studio makeover, or if you're a professional photographer or videographer and you're shooting for a real estate agent, some of these techniques may help you really showcase those spaces well.
Huge thanks to Zhiyun for sponsoring today's video and being a massive supporter of this channel. They've just released the new Zhiyun Weebill 3. As you guys probably know, we love the Weebill 2, and this new release is pretty exciting. Not only is it smaller and lighter, but it has a more ergonomic handle, which actually kind of like folds up like this for easy storage. It's got a built-in fill light, it's got a quick release plate, so you can basically balance this thing, take your camera off, put it back on, and you're good to go. Plus, it has all of the things we love about the last version, like the ease of use and the locking axes. They just released this light stick too. This is the FR100C. I think that this would be really cool to light up dark corners of rooms. That's bright. We're gonna talk about a bunch of the features of this gimbal throughout the video as we shoot our room tour. So let's get into it. So we're packing up our camera bag for our room tour shoot at the cabin. And there's 5 main pieces you're gonna need to pull this whole thing off. Boop, 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 boop. So first things first is a camera body. You can't capture video without a camera body, obviously. So I love the Sony a7S III for this, so that's what we're gonna use for today's shoot. Since we're gonna be shooting wide room shots plus like a talking head, we're gonna want something that ranges from 16 to 35. 12 to 24 might work too, but I find that's a little bit too distorted. Now I'm using an f4 lens, I prefer this. Usually when we're shooting room tours, we're shooting at like f5.6 to f8, so you don't really need the f2.8 in this case. We're also looking for a rectilinear lens here. We wanna see the whole room without too much edge distortion, so the 16 to 35 is a pretty great choice. The next thing on the list is a gimbal. So with these room tour videos, we're often walking you through a space and like literally giving you a tour of the room. And you really can't do these types of videos without a gimbal, or your footage is gonna be pretty shaky, especially if you're following somebody. So you wanna make sure that you've got a gimbal that can handle your camera and lens combo. And this one will have no problem holding up the a7S III with that 16 to 35 f4. Also, the battery on this thing apparently lasts for 21 hours, which is super impressive, especially if you have more than one room to shoot. Say if you're doing like an entire house, or you're shooting B-roll of the room and then the room tour. In the kit, you're also going to need a memory card. That's super obvious, but sometimes, you know, it's easy to kind of forget those things. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you have a memory card in your camera that has enough space on it to shoot the entire room tour walkthrough and all your B-roll shots. You're also gonna need a microphone, and this one is gonna depend on the shooting style. We like a wireless lav mic for our room tour since the camera is often really far away from the subject and we're kind of always moving, so having a wireless lav on helps. This is gonna be allowing the host, yourself or myself, to be far away from the camera operator and still get good audio. Remember that getting your mic as close to the subject as possible will result in the best audio possible. With that said, the Weebill 3 does have a built-in cardioid mic, so if you're in a pinch or you need a safety channel, you can rig that up. This isn't something that I'm probably going to use because I just prefer to rig up a lapel or use a shotgun mic on the camera. Okay, we're gonna get this camera bag packed up. We've got an 8-hour drive ahead of us to get to this cabin that we're staying at this weekend, but let's get this bag packed.
So we just arrived at the cabin, and the first thing you want to do is survey the room you're going to be shooting and figure out your angles and what you want to shoot, but also look for things that need fixing, like wrinkles in the carpet, pillows that need to be fluffed, things like that.
For this, we're going to keep all of the lights off. We want to keep one light source, which is just going to be our outdoor lights. The first thing that we're going to do here for the home tour is we're gonna walk through the space and talk about its features. So Chris has got the a7S III on top of the new Zhiyun Weebill 3. We've got a 16 to 35 on. We're gonna be shooting this at 16 millimeters, nice and wide to get the whole room. And I've also got a wireless mic on here. This is the DAD Lav W Pro, and that's attached to the Rode Wireless Go 2, which is just in my back pocket here.
I'm basically just gonna be shooting Becky for a constant A-roll shot. So when you're shooting your subject doing the walkthrough, it's very tempting to start focusing on what they're talking about. So for example, if Becky's coming through and saying, oh, look at this beautiful light fixture, you kind of just wanna reflexively turn the camera to the light fixture to show it. but you have to avoid that. You just wanna keep shooting Becky, keep shooting your subject, and then afterwards, go get the B-roll of the light, and then you can just edit that in as actual B-roll.
Just take mental notes while you're shooting that A-roll to be like, oh, she talked about this, so we're gonna want B-roll of this. It helps to write it down afterwards.
In addition to Becky thinking about what she's gonna talk about when she's walking around the room and the path she's gonna take, I'm also thinking about how I'm going to shoot her with respect to the room. Even though this cabin has a beautiful vista with these three-sided windows, it's very hard to capture that dynamic range. And what I mean by that is that it's very bright outside and it's very dark here. So either you expose for the outside and we become silhouettes, or you expose for the inside and then the windows become blown out white. I might wanna have her walk in through this hallway here. Oh wow, this is nice, flattering, soft, almost shadowless light. Okay, well let's actually do it.
Okay, let's do it. This is my go-to shot list when we're shooting room tours or home tours. First up is the dolly shot, that push in or pull back shot.
I'm flicking my gimbal into lock mode, meaning that where the camera's pointed right when you turn it into lock mode, it stays oriented there. So for example, I can loop around it like this, and it still points in that one direction.
And we want the gimbal to also be in the flashlight position to decrease on the amount of bounce that we get in the footage. We're gonna move nice and slow and do either a push in shot or a pull back shot. Now the flashlight mode helps to get rid of bumps from walking, so this is very key when doing these types of shots. We prefer to shoot these shots in 60 frames per second and have the option of slowing them down because we find that even if we try to move slow, the clips are sometimes too fast. The second is the trucking shot. Instead of disconnecting the camera from the gimbal and switching over to a slider, you can actually get this shot with the gimbal. So you're gonna wanna get your gimbal into lock mode.
Another little tip is if you double tap the trigger, it'll instantly square everything up with the gimbal and then also square your tilt so that you're not tilting down or up towards the ceiling.
Frame up your shot and then use the Steadicam creep to ensure a smooth shot. So the Steadicam creep is when you lock up the top part of your body, you're holding that gimbal nice and steady, and you're basically only moving the bottom part of your legs to move the camera. Steadicam creep. Third on the list is the pan and tilt. So the left to right and the up and down. Gimbals are so great for getting these moving shots, but you want your room tour to be multifaceted. So changing it up with a steady tilt shot where the camera moves from the ceiling to the floor, or a nice steady pan shot where the camera moves from one wall to the other or from left to right will give you a nice dynamic set of shots. To do this handheld, you're gonna flick your gimbal into lock mode and then use the joystick to go left and right or up and down at a steady pace. Fourth on the list is a close-up shot. The close-up shot can be a steady shot or a moving shot, and it could also be a shot showing action, like the host demonstrating how something works in the room. I love this type of shot because it gives us the opportunity to bring the host into the B-roll and then show more of the space in action. And again, we like to shoot this at 60 frames per second because if our host is walking through a room at regular motion, then the slow motion B-roll is kind of a nice change of pace. To shoot a steady shot, use lock mode on your gimbal and hold that shot for at least 10 or 15 seconds. Here's a really quick rundown of what the modes do. Lock mode keeps the camera locked in place while you move around it. The camera will always stay pointing straight and won't look up, down, left, or right. Pan follow mode is going to keep the camera pointing in the direction that you want as you move it, except if you point it down. Pan follow will keep the camera level with the horizon, and this is the mode you're gonna wanna enter when holding the gimbal in the flashlight position. Follow mode will allow the camera to follow your movement, whether you're panning left or right, or tilting up and down. So these are three of the most common modes, and these are the ones that we're using 99% of the time, but this gimbal obviously allows you to do all sorts of other movements. You can kind of get creative with it. We're staying in this stunning cabin this weekend, and I want to give you guys kind of a little bit of a tour because it's making my brain super happy. This is a big open concept space. We've got the kitchen and the living area here. Nice big eat-in bar. There's lots of storage, matte black cabinets, and the white tiles. I really love the color scheme. It's definitely bringing the outside in. It's got Scandinavian meets cabin vibes in here, and I love it. Here in the corner, they've included a beautiful wood stove, which is like, oh, it's one of my favorite features of cabins or staying at cabins, but it is a nice touch in this space. They've got some kindling here and firewood, which is really nice. Here we've got some binoculars, which is kind of a neat addition since we're in the mountains. Hopefully our neighbors aren't spying on us, but I might be spying on them. So that was our final little room tour edit of this beautiful cabin. After using this gimbal, I really love the ergonomic handle. I think that's my favorite part of this new gimbal. That and the fact that it is light. There are a few other features to note on this gimbal as well. So you can customize the trigger for different types of shooting modes. modes, and the wheel can also be customized to various parameter adjustments. This gimbal is also compatible with the Transmount accessories and the ZY Play app. This new light is also a super fun addition. It's color temperature adjustable, brightness adjustable, obviously. There is a fan in the back, which is kind of nice. You can hear it a little bit, but I don't think it's any louder than some of the other lights that I have here in the studio. I think if I was gonna be using this, it wouldn't be kind of my main key light. I think it'd be more of like an accent light, but definitely a really cool addition to Zhiyun's product line. Smells good, like technology. So thanks Zhiyun for sponsoring today's video. If you wanna check out the new Zhiyun Weebill 3, I will leave a link in the description box below. And if you missed it, we've released the first couple of episodes of our home renovation series. I will link it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. I feel like I have a lightsaber. Fitting that we've got a Tim Hortons coffee and we're going to Canada.